Well, thank you for your patience, everyone, and welcome to the Poetry Room at City Lights, and to those of you online as well. We are, of course, beaming to you from the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone peoples. It is always a privilege and an honor to be able to do so. My name is Peter Maravelis. I'm the events director here at City Lights, and it's always a delight when we can celebrate a book of our own. I remember when I first started this, we were doing maybe one or two titles of City Lights published books a year. Now we're doing like 4 or 5 a season. It's really quite fantastic. So we are so thrilled to be celebrating Fruto, Bearing the Burden of Care, which is by Daniela Rey, and it's translated by John Gibler. And Fruto examines the personal and social contradictions of mothering. It explores the price paid for by women, regardless of their backgrounds, after the birth of her first child. The relentless work of mothering left Daniela Rey feeling overwhelmed, despairing, and afraid of losing her identity. Now, being an award winning journalist, she took up the tools of her trade and began a series of interviews with other women, some mothers, some were caregivers. And as she listened to their stories of providing care for others, often under extreme circumstances, she began to find a place and a meaning for her own story. So, Fruto chronicles the journey of women listening in the search for meaning. So, Daniela Rey is a journalist, documentary filmmaker, and author of 3 books of narrative nonfiction and a contributor to various collections of essays. Fruto, published to wide acclaim in Mexico in 2023, is her most recent book. She has received various awards for her work, including Mexico's National Journalism Award. She is a founding member of a global network of investigative journalism, and she makes her home in Mexico City. So we are also very, very delighted, very excited, very honored to have John Gibler back in the house after many, many moons. He is, of course, no stranger to City Lights. He is a writer, an investigative journalist living in Mexico. City Lights had the fantastic pleasure of an honor of publishing several books by him. These include Torn from the World, and also I Couldn't Even Imagine That They Would Kill Us, as well as many others. And we have them all on display here tonight together with Fruto. And we hope that you'll kind of make your way up there and take a look. And for those of you online, just want to remind you, we're going to be posting links in the chat function of your Zoom dashboard with which you may purchase books. So John's been a correspondent for Pacifica Radio's PFA, KPFA. And he's also been reporting for the Canadian Broadcast Corporation in the past. Just courageous, very, very amazing journalist and writer. It is such a delight and an honor to have you both with us here at City Lights. Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you so much, Peter. Thank you, Elaine and Stacy here at City Lights for all the care and love and the invitation to be here with you tonight. And thanks to everyone for coming out. Most everyone here, a dear friend of mine. So thanks for coming out. So to begin, if I could take just a moment to praise Daniela. Hopefully no one will be upset with that small detour before we hear from her directly. Daniela's a dear friend of mine, one of my sisters in life and in journalism, whom I've known since 2010 in Mexico. I'd heard stories about her many years before that, but then and had read her, but we met collaborating with a book together called País de Muertos, or Country of the Dead. And her story, don't tell anyone else, but was my favorite in the entire collection. Since then, I've taught it in pretty much every journalism workshop I've ever given as an example of how to construct a devastatingly powerful lead to a story. And, you know, not only gorgeously written, but I always emphasize with journalism students, notice where Daniela was. Like, she knew where to be. She knew where to be standing to see and hear what she heard. And that is something that I think she makes her one of the best journalists of her generation. There are journalists who have this incredible sense, for example, of like knowing what the story is. In Mexico, it'd be like la nota, right? So what's the headline? What's the angle that's going to get a newspaper editor to put this on the front page, right? To like, you know, increase your visibility and so on. And Daniela, I feel like, is the journalist that sees like 7 moves beyond that. She's like, what's the hidden heart of this story? What's going on that everyone sees and feels, but no one knows what it's called yet? Everyone's already felt its name, but no one said its name yet. And I want to hear and find its name. And I think that's what she does. And she's been my teacher and my colleague in this journey now for a long time. It's an honor to be here with her. Also, Fruto is a book that I watched Daniela talk about from just a very early idea, from initial publications to early drafts. And at every step of the moment, it's a project that moved me deeply, excited me, and uh, and at every step of the way, like seeing Daniela, also her the same engine that kind of moves her to find these stories. She's constantly questioning herself, right? And she's like, what is my motivation here? What am I really doing? Is what I'm doing interesting? And there's a danger that that kind of self-questioning can inhibit, right, movement and progress. And I feel like with Daniela, that self-questioning itself becomes a part of her motor, and it pushes her to move deeper, and it pushes her to listen more closely. And I remember telling you when we were reading the first printout that you shared with me of the draft of Fruto, and you're like, but like, pues todo una mamada, o sea, que estoy aquí yo con mis propias cosas así, no, is this all just like me in my head or something? And like, Daniela, what you're doing here is intensely vulnerable, but it's an act of vulnerability that becomes a social offering. It becomes a gift. Like, so many people are going to be able to read into your act of opening your heart, right? And being vulnerable through this act of writing, which is what you love, and they're going to connect with it in ways that are so deep and powerful. And in that sense, I feel like as a reader, as your reader, this vulnerability is this incredible act of generosity. And so I just wanted to share all of that with you and ask you if you wouldn't mind telling us, how did the idea to write this book come about?
Well, good night. I supposed to study English the last 10 years, but I was growing up my child, so excuse me my English, but I will do well, I mean, the last 2 hours, John and I was talking in English in order to remember the things I studied in the school. But I think I'm kind of nervous, so I will agarrar ritmo in the next minutes. So, well, thank you very much to stay here, for coming here, and being mother makes me put attention in the things that possibility the life and the things we do with our life. So it's because of that I appreciate that you make some things in your life, or change some things in your life, or organize another things in order to be here today. So I appreciate it a lot, and I hope that the things we spoke today at this moment um, have honoring your time and your presence here. So thank you very much, my friends, the friends of John, the of knowledge people, and everyone. Thank you for being here, and thank you a lot for Elaine and Stacy for your confidence in this book. And I am very agradecida that you thought that our stories, the stories of the women who are in the book, have something to say to the people in this part of the world, and have something to share, and to share the vulnerability, but also their witness, sabiduría, no,
Wisdom.
of taking care of other, and of a una misma. So, well, my nervousness will be disappearing in science and time. Maybe at the final I can sing something. Well, Thank you, John. You know how much I love you and how much I am agradecida with you for being witness, not just for the book, witness for la crianza and and the and my job, and I mean, we grew up together, I think, in a lot of ways. So thank you very much for bring fruto, for work with our works and traduce it in English. Okay? Translate
Yeah.
it. Well, your question was?
How did the idea to write this book come about?
Well, I I am a reporter, a journalist. So in my career, uh, I observe how the people take care in a very different ways to support the life. No, the migrants, mothers, the mothers who work in the maquilas or farmers, the mothers who take care of their disappeared uh, people. But when I have my first baby, I realized the big job that you have to do to support the life of someone, and realize how the society, let alone the people who have to care the life. So, and in the same, al mismo tiempo, how the society reclama that the woman, almost the woman, have to give to the society a good person and a good ciudadanos, no? Sense of the law, buen ciudadano. And I would feel very loneliness, but very enojada also, because this contradiction. And I start to research about what does the care means in a country. And I discover that the work of care means, I mean, en términos económicos, el trabajo de cuidados, who realize the woman, almost the woman, represents 1/4 of the totally rich riqueza of a country, ¿no? Puedes explicar.
In economic terms, the care work that women do represents 25% of a nation's gross domestic product.
So if we try to use a metaphor, maybe the care is one of the patas of the table, and if you take off this pata, pues la mesa se cae. So, in other words, the state supports se soporta, se sostiene en el trabajo de cuidados que generalmente realizan las mujeres y que no es reconocido ni remunerado en términos económicos.
So the state or the government is supported by the care work that women do, and is not either compensated economically, that care work, or even acknowledged.
And instead of that, I mean, más allá de la parte económica, I want to talk with the people with the woman, how they live their experience of the care of caring people. And I discovered that the conditions of care make the women feel like with a lot of contradictions, sadness and frustration and loneliness. And it is not because of the kids or la crianza en sí, it is because the condition of the cuidados doesn't support the work of the woman. ¿Sí? ¿O lo quieres traducir al español? Porque no se entienden en inglés. So, entonces, I decide to interview another woman in order to know how they live their experience of cuidados. My first objective was venían del enojo. I was very sad. No, triste no, enojada. Angry. I was very angry. So at the beginning, I was to write something with that angry in order to reclamar at the society, because why the society let us alone. But my second objective was to write a book with the capacity to abrazar, hug the loneliness of that woman who care. I have the sensation, kind of metaphysical sensation that if a woman who care alone, at the moment of reading the book, she will feel the huge of all the women who do the same around the world. So it was my dos objetivos. It was mis objetivos de escribir el libro. Así empezó.
Thank you very much. And could you tell us a little bit about your decision, about how you decided to structure the book? Anticipating the book is composed of a mixture of essay, journalism, so long interviews and narrative nonfiction writing about other women that Daniela's interviewed, as well as diary excerpts from Daniela's. And these three main kind of narrative threads are woven throughout the entire book. So I wonder if you could tell us just a bit about your decision, how you came upon that structure, and what is it? What are the resonance of it for you?
The book is made by different materials. The first one is my own diary that I start to write as a space to be with myself and with my own contradictions and sadness and hungriness with the care of the kids. I wasn't writing with the idea to publish it. I mean, it came after a lot of time after. And the second material is art interviews with other women that I meet in my work as a reporter, as a journalist. A woman who care, a migrant woman, a woman who has a son disappeared, woman that are not mother, but that sisters or are daughters who cares their own mother, grandmothers who cares their grandsons. And other part of the material is the interviews that I made my own mother, because when I start to think how I care my kids, I realize, I don't know how was the experience of my mother. So I start to interview my mother. What was the experience of for you of caring for kids? And I made these interviews with her like between 5 years. I went to her house, and we wake up in the very early morning while the kids were sleeping, and she made some tea, and we start talking about our crianza, no, la crianza. And I mean, there is another part that are the photographs that I take of my kids, and this part is very nice because I write a first draft of the book and show John, and John tell me, okay, it's okay, but I am witness of your care, and I saw that it is not just sad and cansancio y enojo y gritos. I am witness of the happiness and the ternura. So why don't you write about it? And I say, I don't know how to write about happiness. I just know how to write about sadness. So because I am Cancer, so that's why we decide to use the photographs in order to show this other part of the crianza that is nice, is happy, is tierna. How do you say tierna?
Tenderness.
And the last material of the book are all the things I read in different kinds of literature, academics, workshops, poetry, literature, estudios técnicos, estudios médicos about the care. And the most complexity things, cosa más difícil was decide how to tejer all these different materials, ¿no? And we decide to try, o sea, a ver, tratamos de construir un relato entre las palabras de mi mamá, las palabras de las mujeres y mi propio diario, y todo eso tejido desde una voz del presente, ¿no? Que también era mía, pero que ya no era la misma voz del diario porque ya había pasado tiempo.
So we
Yes.
tried to find a way to weave together the voices of my mother, of all these other women, and my own intimacy, but that wouldn't reproduce just the voice of the diary, but from the perspective of the present.
Sí, sí, mero.
And um,
I mean, I think that lo que posibilitó this structure is that you are moving between the emotional things and the rational pensamientos, no sé, reflections, and maybe, I mean, como que posibilitó que se entendiera que la experiencia del cuidado es algo que está muy tejido y muy introyectado en la vida de las mujeres, and it's very difficult to separate it. I mean, it's not, for us, it's not easy to answer the question, when is care and when is love and when is work? So I think this structure shows that the way that the care cross the lives of the women, teje la vida de las mujeres, las vincula con otras vidas, y cuando suceden contextos de violencia, este vínculo es de violencia también.
so the care work braids together the lives of women, and when this happens in a context of violence.
Sí, como que cuando el cuidado sucede en contextos de desigualdad, de precariedad, de violencia institucional y estructural, el vínculo que teje ese cuidado generacionalmente, pues es un vínculo que también va a tener violencia, ¿no? Estar cruzado por esa violencia.
Yeah. As when care work is taking place in a context of all different kinds of forms of institutional violence, economic, social, and so on, those connections themselves generate forms of violence in women's lives. Yeah. You once described to me that you and you just said it, a bit earlier, that you imagined and kind of wanted this book itself to be this space of women talking and listening to each other, this kind of sharing of stories, sharing of breath. And I think it absolutely is. As someone who is invited to listen to it, to kind of lean in an ear. But since it's come out in Mexico, the reception has been, and again, something I've been witnessing, remarkable. It's had an incredible, been embraced by a large number of readers, mainly women readers, or significantly women readers. So if you could tell us a bit about that experience of walking with the book. I mean, the book itself is this room for women to breathe together and to listen to each other. And then as you take that room into book clubs and universities and bookstores and presentations, how has that experience been?
Well, at the beginning, when the book was published, I was very afraid that I have a lot of afraid with the book. The first one is the reaction of my father, because he's not in the book. I mean, the absence of my father is in the book. So I was very worried about the reaction of him. Other afraid of mine was that the mothers of the school of my kids read the book and say, "Oh no, my little son, you no te dejaré ir a jugar en la casa Naira y Emilia, porque su madre, es punish tu mamá, ¿no? Así regaña todo el tiempo. So I was afraid that the mothers of the school read the book and discriminate my sons, no, because of me. And another afraid was that, I mean, my personality in Mexico City is the personality of a journalist who write about human rights. No? So for me, it was very difficult to show my own violence when it's supposed to be that I am a woman who respects the human rights and the rights of the kids. No, so I was worried about the reaction of that. No, so of showing my vulnerability, and but I trust of the intention of the book, I mean, of the heart of the book. No, I decided to trust in that corazón del libro. So it was enough to como protegerme de esos miedos, pero los tenía. I have my effects. And for me, what was a surprise that the woman, I mean, that the woman received the book with a lot of love and de alguna forma the book possibility that the woman's have a comprehension, comprendieran a sus madres. I mean, voy a decir en español porque para mí fue muy bonito descubrir que este libro posibilitó a las mujeres que se acercaran a sus mamás desde otro lugar. O sea, me da la sensación que las lectoras o los lectores entran como lectores o como hermanos o como padres de familia o como madres, y las historias que cuentan cómo se vive la crianza desde quien cuida, lo que hacen es que quien lo lee salga como hijo del libro, ¿no? Es decir, el libro posibilita que uno se ponga en el papel del hijo y desde ese lugar pueda entender o pueda tener curiosidad sobre cómo fue el proceso de crianza para sus madres y para las personas que lo cuidaron. Y al menos desde esa curiosidad o esa curiosidad posibilite o sea, posibilite una reconciliación o una comprensión de esos procesos pues dolorosos y violentos de los cuidados, ¿no? Que nos cruzan genealógicamente. Y yo no entendí eso o no supe que el efecto del libro sería ese hasta que fue publicado y vi que la gente, no sé, llegaba alguna lectora y me decía, I read your book and when I finished, I call my mother and I say, Mother, forgive me, o te perdono, o me perdonas. Bueno, Mother, I love you. I understand what do you live, no? Or Mother, I realize that you are not just my mother. You are your own woman. So I want to know who are you. So for me, it was a surprise that I didn't realize when I write the book. I didn't think about this when I read the book. I'm still have a afraid.
Still fear of, I still have a fear.
Esa madre. And is what will happen with my kids when they read the book.
You hear the translation of what you said.
You'll hear an attempt. It was very beautiful what she said, and apologies in advance for the way I'm going to butcher it, but which is one reason I preferred to translate the text and not the, anyway. She said that it was really lovely to discover through the process of writing this book and publishing it, how it enabled a number of women to approach their mothers from a different angle, from a different place. That, you know, so many people entered into the reading experience of the book from all kinds of different, she said it much more lovely manner, but from different like identities and different positions in their lives and so on. But through reading the book, they all came out as children of the book. And in this sense, to become curious about their own experience of childhood from the perspective of their mother's experience of child raising, and how that curiosity enabled a number of women to have a deeper sense of empathy with some of the things that might have seemed more violent about the certain moments of child raising.
I want to read the epigraph, one of the, dice,
Dice aquí,
we enter a new space filled with the presence of mothers and the place where everyone is a daughter. I think this is a kind of resume of this thing that I acabo de decir.
Sí, 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 sí. And could you tell us a little bit about the experience as well of your mother reading the book? Like you told me a bit earlier and you told me before, but you had, which is a beautiful photograph in the book of this, but Daniela had a printout of the book taped up on a wall. And so she was looking at it from, visually the entire text up on a wall, and her daughters helped her tape it up. And of course, Naida was helping her tape it up while Emmy was like spinning around to see how the pages fluttered through the air every time she spun and so on. But you told me your mom woke up one night, like before dawn, and read the book up on the wall. Can you tell us a bit about?
Well, it's a little bit photograph, but this is the image of that John was explaining. Well, my mother accedió, accepted the interviews because she loves me. And one day she and I was in the house. She was working in your own things, and I was transcription and doing transcript the interviews. And she told me, "Do you need help?" And I said, "Yes, I have a lot of interviews of you that I no alcancé a transcribir." And say, "Oh, if you want, I can help you to transcript my own interviews, and I will delete the things that I don't want that you put in the book." And well, she didn't do that because I no lo permití. Pero yes, one day I mean, she didn't understand ella lo dijo como ¿cómo te dije que dijo? No entiendo tu afán de exhibicionismo. Sí, así me dijo cuando vio el libro.
I don't understand this drive towards exhibitionism.
Pero pues confío en ti, ¿no? Entonces puedes hacerlo. Y ya seguí trabajando. And one day I put the first draft in the walls of my room, like 200 sheets. And in the madrugada, my mother wake up and went to the room and read all the book. And the next day, she told me, "Daniela, I read the book and I'm not agree how or the way that you interpretate my own experience. No, you just talk about the sadness and the hungriness and the difficult. And for me, it wasn't like that. For me, was like I was very proud of you and your brothers and your sister. And for me, it was very. I was happy of go with you to the park. And I mean, she started to talk her own experience, very different that the experience that I interpreted of. And for me, it was a very important moment of the process of write the book, because I understand one part. Can you read it in?
Mm-hmm.
¿Sí sabes cuál es? A ver. Ay, ¿quieres decir algo mientras lo encuentro?
Thanks, John.
Was It's incredible also this process of back and forth, how Daniela is constantly sharing with her mother what she's doing. Her mother's reaching back out to her. This is an incredible example of love and trust in that relationship at all these points. And the fact that when her mother says, actually, that's not how I lived this, like it wasn't so sad for me, that Daniela is able to hear her and to then include that, right? And like without also trying to um correct in a sense what she had already written, because what she had already written has an emotional resonance and truth for her, right? And to be able to like understand, have the wisdom to include all of those things, to seek them out and to hear them and to include them and to embrace what might appear to be contradictions.
¿Es largo?
Sí.
¿Lo lees tú?
Sí, sí, dime tú.
Es este.
So, um, I think that when I began interviewing my mom, I was looking for commiseration with my own disconcerted experience of motherhood. I asked her questions thinking about myself, and I made her name things that she hadn't articulated about the weight of childcare, solitude, and becoming a woman. But I didn't give her enough room to talk about the enjoyment of it, about her happiness, about her tenderness for us, to speak about joy in her own terms, about the rainy days when we'd all go for a drive so we could make waves in the streets, or the day when it snowed on Santa Rosa de Lima mountain and she left work in Guanajuato and drove back to Irapuato to pick us up from Catholic school, take us back to Guanajuato and then to the mountains so that we, her children, could see snow for the first time. About the afternoons listening to music and dancing as we cleaned the house, or when she let us play with the soap suds in the washing machine, making hairdos or dresses or beards with the bubbles, or the times when she'd fill the trunk of the car with picnic supplies and drive out to the edge of the city to find a tree under which to have a day in the country, or the afternoons all playing in the garden as if she were a child just like us, or the mornings spent in the doorway watching us grow up. I insisted that my mother reflect critically on her own story, assuming all the ways that patriarchy cuts through us and decides for us. Where she felt tenderness, I spoke of romantic love. Where she felt pride, I pointed out submission. Where she remembered happiness, I recalled ingenuousness. Where I assumed I was being critical, in reality, I was trying to take her story away from her and tell her how she should live it. Acá, ¿no?
Um, it was a very important moment for me in the process of the book, and it talks not just about my mother and I. I mean, this moment talks to me, even for my own work as a journalist, no. And well, the book was published, and my mother was like very shy, or how do you say, dijiste avergonzada?
Embarrassed.
Embarrassed, because I mean, she is a woman who grew up in a very small city, well, in a small city in the center of Mexico, in a very conservative, in a very religious family. So the things that for me are um, reason to be proud, I mean, separate, divorce, get divorced, have another boyfriend, blah blah blah. For her was things that very very embarrassing, and with after the book was published, and when she started to hear the people in the presentations, I mean, it wasn't me, and it wasn't the book. It was the way that the book was read, the thing that possibilitated my mother to reconcile with her own story. So for me, it's like, I mean, it's like the book is a kind of kaleidoscopio, or a kind of mirror which reflects for different ways, and in this and possibility us to see our life in from very different perspectives, no. So I am very grateful with the people, with the woman who read the book and permit that my mother reconcile with herself and her own story, because it wasn't me. I mean, it was the way her story was read and received by the other people.
Thank you very much. I don't know, Peter, if we should ask if anyone has a question.
Nothing quite online yet. Usually takes a few seconds.
I was wondering if the women that you interviewed have seen the book, or if some of them have seen the book, and what that's been like for them to, have their stories told and shared with the public.
Yeah, thank you, Stacey. Before the book was published, I sent the story of each woman. Well, the experience with my mother was. ¿Te la sabes para que la cuentes directa o no? Sí, ahora la pregunta. Perdón. Okay. I sent the text, the draft of the woman. One of them told me that, oh, it's okay, just please change my name because I don't want that someone read the book and feel bad because I say that things, no? For example. Another woman told me, okay, it's okay, the story is okay, change my name and I don't want to know anything about this anymore. And so please don't write me anymore because the things you write about my story are very hard to me, and I am trying to be in other place, so I don't want to know or remember anything of this. No. For other woman, she has the doubt. Ella estaba dudando between let her own name or change the name, because in the book she talk about the rapes she suffered for her brother when she was young, and her kids doesn't know the story. I mean, almost was like agree with the story. I think both of them asked me don't to no volverlas a buscar. O sea, está bien, you can publish the story, but I don't want to know anything of this. And one day I made a presentation of the book that was, for me, was the most, well, I mean, this is the most difficult because it's in English, but before this, that one was the most difficult because it was like a kind of open interview with two women that was in the book. And we talk about how do you feel with the interview, how do you feel with the kind of questions that I did, how do you feel to see your story with the other stories, how do you feel the way of me, of how I look your story, and the things in where I put attention, no? And it was I mean, I am journalist, and from that moment I had interviewed a lot of people, but it was the first time in my journalist life that I asked the people, how do you feel with the interview and with the with the things I saw of you and the way I write this of you, no? So it was a very interesting exercise in order to understand cómo trabaja el proceso de construir sí, como la representación de una persona. It was very interesting to understand how or the consequences of being represented by someone.
We have some from online. Mina comments, I loved your book so much. You write in the book, there are days like this when I know my arms are the safest place for girls. But there have also been days when I know that I am the biggest danger they face. Okay. Over and over, you indict yourself as dangerous, as rageful, and as a possible threat to your children's joy. As a mother reading this book, it was so wonderful to read this truth that most mothers in the United States don't feel they can say out loud. How did you feel to publish these feelings, and what has the response been in Mexico to these ideas of the rageful and dangerous mother?
Well, thank you for the question. Well, I mean, the first time I published part of the diary was in a book that it's translated in English. The Feminist Press translate the book of Tsunami, and in Tsunami there is a little say about the car, and I published there a fragment of the diary. I mean, and I decided to do it because I feel that the other words of the other writers that are in the book, that were in the book, was a kind of little house or a kind of, sí, como una casita, kind of safe place to say the things that I feel. So I think it's, and when I publish this book, I can do it, and I decide to publish these stories and this part of the book that you say, because I being accompanied, fui acompañada, accompanied by the words that other women who write something before than me. So, for example, in Fruto, there is a parts of the book that a woman from Ecuador writes about the childhood and the care, and there are parts of the other book from, for example, Brenda Navarro, Casas Vacías. I mean, las palabras que otras mujeres habían escrito sobre sus propios procesos de violencia en la maternidad, ya sea en la literatura, ya sea en la academia, ya sea en la no ficción, me acompañaron para poder decirlo, ¿no? Y yo creo que eso es lo que de alguna forma Fruto también hace, como que también acompaña la posibilidad de que nombremos lo que nos duele y lo que nos avergüenza, y nos sintamos seguras de nombrarlo, ¿no? Porque estamos acompañadas por otras experiencias similares. Y eso es, and for me, this is one of the most beautiful beautiful things about the literature, o acerca del acompañarnos, that is that we can take care of each other with our own stories. I think that.
John, do you want to share notes?
Just a tiny bit about what she said right now about the words of other women about their experiences of maternity, whether written in fiction or an essay or in other forms of literature, accompanied me and were present with me and kind of aided me, allowed me to write about my own experiences.
And I read a book from Verónica Gago. She's an Argentine feminist, and she write about la deuda de las mujeres, economical debt, economical debt. And she discovered that the women in the periferias of Buenos Aires were in debt with the financial institutions, like formal institutions, and with the informal institutions of money. No, I mean, they ask for money to the banks, and they are in debt with the banks. And in order to pay the banks, they ask money for the narcos, no, or narcomenudistas. And So she saw how the woman sustain or maintain two economical systems, one legal and one illegal. And she decided to have a conversations with women in this area, and in order to como romper el ciclo de la deuda de ellas. And she understood that la vergüenza las aislaba. So she decided to create conversation and in which each woman talk about de su propia deuda. Y entonces, al compartir la vergüenza o al compartir que todas tenían una deuda, la vergüenza se rompía y dejaba de operar como algo que la sometía. Entonces, creo que I think that talk about the contradictions of the care and could taking off this vergüenza, shame. I mean, we can feel kind of freedom of that mediation.
Yes.
Hi, thank you very much. I'm a parent, and listening to everything you've had to say, it brings up a question for me, and I say this out of very friendly curiosity. But in all of what I've heard you say, the only mention I've heard of any men, every single one has been an abuser of some kind, and I'm just wondering, where are the men, or do they exist in this story? Do they have any role in the lives of the children? Just hearing what you say, it almost seems like there's a surgical removal of the men, and I'm just curious about that.
Thank you. Where are the men? The men are in the absence of the curse. I mean, I know that it's very difficult and dangerous to generalize something, and maybe there are a very different experience of parenthood, and I know of that, all that. But I decide to concentrate the listening in woman because in general, the women are who sustains, who maintain, lo mismo, maintain the care in a family and in a community, in a country. I mean, statistically, sí, it's comprobated. Estadísticamente está comprobado que the care is over the shoulders of the woman. So that's why I decide to focus on her. And I mean, for example, my father is, I talk of him, I write of him at the beginning of the book, and I decide don't interview him because I don't want to confirm the words of my mother. The intention of the book is not to write about the truth. I mean, it's to write about experience of something, no? So that's why I decide to focus on woman. And I mean, my own husband is like a little bit in like 10 moments in the book, no? One day I was in a presentation of the book, and a guy who was walking around in a parque, en un parque público. He was walking around and he heard that I said, in this book there are no men, no? So he reacted and stay in the presentation, and at the end he asked a question, and he said, I have the curiosity, where are the men? And he said, I want to read the book in order to know where is my absence and how I can complete this absence. ¿Sí? ¿Se entendió? Something like that. My father, when I give the book of my father, I was afraid that he told me something like, you are unfair because I take care of you too, no? So I was really afraid of that. So when I give him the book, I told him, read this book, not as a ex-husband of Rosario, read this book as a son of Dolores, my grandmother. And I think that, because I think this change of perspective give him the possibility to understand not just his fight with my mother, understand his own childhood and his own parenthood.
Anyone else? No? Yes. Here.
I really love this notion of the book as a mother, and it's something that did not occur to me. I'm the publisher, by the way, so I'm pretty intimate with it. I edited John's translation, although it was really pretty stellar and didn't need me very much. But I do know the text, and I've thought about it a lot. I mean, in acquiring it, and we've talked a bit about it. But and I've thought about books as children plenty of times, like birthing books is part of a metaphor for publishing. It's a metaphor for writing. But a book as a mother is something that flips it entirely, and it's such a beautiful description of everything you're talking about in terms of your intention for the book initially. Partly, you mentioned a few, but one of them was exactly that, like providing a safe and caring space for people to encounter their own experience on whatever side of care that might be. And also this notion of affirming people, no matter who they are, including the men who read the book. The men are not all, I don't know if you've read the book, but it's not filled with a bunch of monsters. I mean, there are some, just like the world, for sure. And, but that story that you told about, like creating a space for someone, or telling, like, your own father would become the idea that when you leave the experience of reading all of these, the way that it's intertwined together and the story is woven, it's actually really a page turner. It's kind of crazy. Like, I had that in the description of the book, because I'm like, how is this possible? This is like a whodunit in a sort of a way, in the way, like, there's no crime that's been done. It's just really compelling. Like, as it goes, it has this momentum. But you come out the other end, and yeah, you've been mothered, and you are a child on a certain level, thinking as a child. And because you've been mothered, like, by the book, like that idea of the casita, a place to be safe, with all of the dangerousness that comes with being mothered, because yeah, kids are vulnerable, and mothers can, like, lose their shit, like, and we all know that. And it's just, that's a beautiful, beautiful way of talking about the book. And I love this book a lot. I hope that if you haven't read it, that you will, because it is and it's a thoughtful experience too, because of the way that you engage with all of these other women that you talk about, not just the women that you interview, including your mother, but all of the thinkers that you engage with, their ideas, and you spend time talking back to them too. These other writers, poets, and feminists, and theorists, and and it's really it takes you in all kinds of directions as a reader in that way, that help you to open up your own way of thinking about these things. I think it's a really, really generous book. It's great to hear you talk about it.
Thank you very much, Lynn.
Well, on that very lovely note, I will give you both a chance for any final comments.
Thank you very much. And, I think that, I mean, this is my less journalistic book. This is my less journalistic book. No? Yes. But I think it's the book that obtain or have or logró my compromise with the journalism that is to create places in which people stop the el juicio, para el juicio, judgment, have the confidence and the capacity to listen their own and the other people. And I think the book possibility is that because I'm not the only woman who is talking in the book, no? And I think even the academics, theorists, feminists that are in the book are not talking from that place. I mean, they are talking like in the same level than that us, no? I mean, the word of the theorists have the same value, and the experience of the theorists have the same value that the experience of the girl who cares his own mother, her own mother from the violence of her father. So I learned. I mean, I'm not a theorist. I'm not an academic. I think that all the things I know, all the things I know is because the people which I interviewed share their own sabiduría and their own experience. And for me, it's very important to recognize el valor profundo de esa experiencia y de cómo esa experiencia es válida, es importante, es digna y me da mucho gusto, and I'm very happy that the book feels like a huge hug. Que es huge.
A huge hug.
And I am very happy that the book feels like a huge hug. Because this is how I feel with the with the readers, con las lecturas of the other person, the other woman. And in this moment, my desire is that my kids read the book and understood that even if I can be a complete mother for they, there is another experience of woman who can care. So this is a kind of herencia para ellas. Thank you very much. And excuse me, my English.
No, your English is amazing. And thank you once again, City Lights, Peter, Stacy, and Elaine for the event. Thank you everyone for coming out. Daniela, una vez más, thank you so much for sharing your brilliance, your sensitivity, your care, your love. This itself is an incredible work of caring for all of us, your readers, and in that sense, your children. So thank you once again.